to take control over this one. You
Yep.
can chip in if you want to.
You wrote it.
Yeah. Before I get into our 3 most overrated places around Australia, before we left to go travelling, we met Craig and Kaz from Why Travel Blog, and they're one of Australia's, or one of the world's biggest bloggers. And Craig wrote this article about why he didn't like Esperance in Western Australia. And I sent him a message and I said, mate, you are kidding, aren't you? And he said, I've caught so much flack about it. And I said, well, I'm not surprised. And he said, yeah, but I rattled off, all these things about Esperance and what makes it so fantastic, Lucky Bay, the Great Ocean Drive, all these things. And he said, yeah, but none of those things are in Esperance. And when you think about it, his point was the township of Esperance itself really didn't have much going for it. And in fairness, he was probably right. He was probably on the money. In the same vein is my first place that I think is totally overrated around Australia, and that is Port Douglas. Now, Port Douglas is in North Queensland, and it has celebrities from all around the world. Oprah, and the list goes on. Just name them all. All these celebrities have come to Port Douglas over all these years, and some of them have even made it home. And quite frankly, I don't find anything about Port Douglas that's that wonderful. The beaches are average. I mean, you're pretty keen if you go swimming there. And the beaches, when we talk about beaches, they're almost muddy beach. They're not a nice sandy beach.
On one side it is, and then the other side's the sandy beach. So
where? That's
Where we
not
went-
sandy.
where we
I
went for a
I
swim.
wouldn't call that sandy. It was very clay type sand, and the water is not clear. It's murky water, and the top end of Australia, swimming in murky water, you're pretty keen, I reckon. The only thing I've ever found about Port Douglas that I thought was that fascinating was the Hemingway's Brewery, which is an absolute ripper. But I don't get the fascination with Port Douglas. Sure, there's Mossman, which is amazing, the Mossman Gorge, which we absolutely love. There's the drive from Cairns to Port Douglas, which is absolutely stunning.
Make sure you keep your eyes on the road.
Yeah, that's the hard part. There's the crocodile farm, what's his name up there? Hartley's Crocodile Farm. There's a whole heap of things to do up in the region, but Port Douglas itself, I think, is expensive and overrated, and it really doesn't have anything much to see in itself. That's just my opinion. I'm not a big fan on Port Douglas, and if you're travelling by road like we are, it's almost impossible to get into a caravan park, and if you've got a dog, don't even think about it. Number 2, on my most overrated places around Australia, and I know I'm not going to get very many people agreeing with me on this one, but you know what I'm going to say, don't you?
Julia Creek.
Julia Creek. Oh dear. So let me tell you, I see this everywhere. Everybody just raves about Julia Creek, and they arrive there and they love it, and quite frankly, I have no idea why. I'm not getting on any Queensland tourism boards
Anytime soon.
anyway. No. Julia Creek. Okay, so we arrived at Julia Creek and we pull up at this free camp. And we'd heard all about this free camp, how wonderful it was, great spot, yada yada yada, so we stop at this free camp. Well, we had this caretaker, whatever he was, manager, whatever you want to call him, he came out and just totally pressured us. We don't mind paying donations around the place, everywhere we go. We put donations in boxes all around the country. We have no problems with that. But it was very clearly told, everyone talks about it as a free camp, so we weren't expecting it. But he came over, and he was really hardball that we had to pay $10 into the donation box, and we had to sign in and register and all this stuff, didn't we?
It was like a campground. It wasn't really a free camp.
No, and it just seemed wrong from the start. And my impression now, looking back, is that he was probably pocketing this $10. I don't know, because I still looked it up again last night before doing this video, and it still says it's a free camp to everybody. Everyone knows that it was a free camp. Anyway, what did it do that night? Well, first of all, that night it did rain. We went into town to watch State of Origin. This was back 2016, so it's a number of years ago. I refused to go back since, and we were paying 99 cents for diesel at Airlie Beach. Expensive diesel on the road at that time was around about $1.20, and Julia Creek was $1.55. So I thought their fuel was way overpriced. Then we went for a pub meal, for a cheap pub meal for dinner, and watched the Origin. The meals were more expensive than back here in Brisbane. They were really expensive. You know, $35 a meal. You know, a pub meal out in the bush just shouldn't cost that much.
No, I don't expect it to be that expensive.
No. Queensland lost the Origin. That didn't help.
It's going down.
We drove back to the free camp, and it rained all night long. We woke up in the morning with our pure white dog Max, and first thing we've got to do is take her out to go for a pee. Well, the place is just mud, so we've got to try and get her out through all this mud to go and have a pee and get back into the motorhome. Well, that was it. We decided we were hitting the road. You know, I looked up, I did some research, checked the weather, and the rain had eased to showers, and as we headed towards Mount Isa, the rain was easing. It was going to stop along the way. So we got into the motorhome. We're all inside. We turned the motor on, and this guy comes running, didn't he? He come running straight at us. And what he said to us was, I'll never forget his words. You Southerners, you city people come from down south, and you have no idea what it's like to drive on the highways up here in the north in the rain. Well, I saw red. How condescending could you be? All he wanted was another $10 into his kitty, I reckon.
Let's do another night or two.
I was not happy. So I gave him my gobful and we left. That's Julia Creek. That's my experience of it. If you're going there, great, enjoy it, have fun. I hope it doesn't rain for you, and if it does, I hope you haven't got a white dog on board. But we just had mud everywhere, and Julia Creek is nowhere that I intend to ever go back.
Everyone loves Julia Creek because of the hot tubs, so
Well, it's at the caravan park.
yeah.
And really stay at the caravan park for a hot tub? There's so many hot tubs around Australia. I'd rather go to Mitchell or Lara Wetlands or Murchison Station in Western Australia. The list goes on. There's hot tubs everywhere. I don't need to pay for a caravan park at bloody Julia Creek just for a hot tub. Anyway, if you love Julia Creek, that's fine. That's okay. No problem at all. That's just my opinion. There we go. Let's head on now to number 3. Okay, so I did promise that this was going to be controversial, and the other thing that's disappointing for me is that all 3 of these locations are here in our home state of Queensland. So number 1, Port Douglas, number 2, Julia Creek, number 3 stays up there in North Queensland, and it's Karumba. Karumba. Oh man, I just don't get the excitement over Karumba.
Yeah. People. Let's do careful.
That's right. I just don't get the excitement over Karumba at all.
Well, they just say it's fishing mecca. Did you experience that when you went on the charter?
Well, I've tried off
Any
the
bites?
beaches and there's no fishing that I found there. And look, I'm sure during the right times of the year, probably it is. But we spent a fortune to go out on a charter boat, and what did we catch?
call it shark and brim.
Shark and brim, and I can get shark and brim in the Brisbane River right here. I don't need to pay a fortune on a fishing charter out of Corumba for that. And we went out on this boat for like an hour and a half, and we're still only in 10 metres of water. So I'm sure there's good fishing up there. I've seen some photos, but it certainly wasn't our experience. But the other things were, like the beaches itself were once again were just mud. There were nothing beautiful. There's no sunbaking on the beach or anything like that.
Nice sunsets.
Well, sunsets were nice, but I wouldn't rate them up there with Darwin and anything you can get from Western Australia. You look at the sunsets we've had from Bibia and Gun Point and Mindle. Yeah, you look at 1770, Morton Island, and then you Broome, and the list goes on down there. I wouldn't rate their sunsets up there as better than any of those.
No, not bad.
Sorry for the noise, we've got a little bit of building work going on next door. But the Sunset Tavern, and it's aptly named because you come here in the afternoon, have a drink, and you have these views. Corumba, for me, completely overrated. It's a lot of money, a lot of time and a lot of effort to get up there. Personally, we went back there again just recently, 6 months or so ago, when we were there. Well, it's nearly 12 months ago now. And we went back to Corumba, and we went up just as a day trip. We were there for 2.5 hours, and I reckon that was about an hour and a half too long.
We got to see the Barramundi Museum.
That was the hour that was good about being there, and from there, I just don't know what's worth seeing there. Look, we don't like talking down about places, but they're our three. They're the three most overrated places we think in Australia. We're not saying that they're bad places. We're just saying that, given their hype, I just don't see that the hype matches its reality, in my opinion. Would I want to go to all those three places once on my trip if I was starting it? Yes, because there is stuff to see, and they are worth seeing for yourself. And again, this is just my opinion, but so definitely go there. But I think for the hype of what I hear about them, both online and the case of Port Douglas, where it's international hype, I just don't think it matches what everyone says about them. Sad that they're all in Queensland, and to be honest, I can't think of too many other places around the country where we would speak negatively, that we would say we didn't like them or talk down about. It just so happens that all three of them happen to be there in Queensland, and again, they're just my personal opinion, and I'm absolutely sure that you guys will have had been to each one of those places and thoroughly enjoyed them, and you'll have issue with what I've said. And if you disagree with me, or if you agree with me, please drop your comments down below. Let us know why I'm wrong about any of those places I think are overrated. Happy to hear your thoughts, and all our other ones on those that we think that are underrated, and our three favourites. Let us know what your thoughts are on those.
What your favourites are, what your underrated, your overrated places are.
Yeah, and so drop your comments down below. Let us know. If you've got this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you haven't already, please hit the like button for us. That'd be awesome, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks very much for everyone for watching, and we'll see you in the next video soon.
Thanks.
Another shark.
Oh, you know what that is?
No.
We'll call first, yeah, you know. All right. So we're bidding it for you, Wendy. Lift him up. No, he didn't like that at all.
Trying to make it work. Yeah.
They make it work. Bump him on the nose, just make it a bit harder. I just thought you got it over and done with too quickly.
You're ever so sweet.
Did I say something the other day?
That's better.